Hey, this is Solio from AEJuice, and today I'm going to be showing you how to quickly create an introduction using our Cyberpunk pack. So when you have the pack installed and you have opened it up as a tab in After Effects, you can see that we have all of these different categories. And we're going to be mainly using a background and some text, and then we will add some extra elements as well as maybe sound effect and music. So let's start with the background. You can see there are two categories of backgrounds. One is the horizontal, which is the one that we're going to be using. Then there's a vertical one if you want to use it for, let's say, Instagram stories. So let's go back to the horizontal. And you can see there's a load of different options and they're all animated. And we want something that has sort of a repeated motion, not too extreme because it just has to be our background element and it doesn't have to stand out that much. So this looks nice, and maybe let's see if there are some other examples. Yeah, let's go for this one. So it's quite a simple movement, but we also have these sort of glitchy elements. So let's double click and it will be imported into our composition. And now we can try and play it back. And as you can see, we have this animated background. So now let's go and find some text animation. So as you can see, here's also a lot of different choices that you can go for. We sort of want to find something that matches our background. So let's just try and scroll down a bit, see if we find something we like. So let's see, maybe this one will fit actually quite nice, also because it has sort of the same motion from left to right as our background element. If we play this back, so double click and we will get this imported into our composition. And now let's first of all time it. So you can see it takes a bit of time before it actually shows. You can just drag it back. Let's go to the start of the composition so we can actually see if it plays correctly. And as you can see, that matches quite nicely. Sort of the basic motion is all right, but we want to add a bit more to tie this together. And also we want to edit this text because we don't really want it to say welcome. Here you can add sort of your own name or whatever you would like for an introduction. But let's double click the composition, go into the text, and here you have to make sure that you have installed all of the different fonts, which you can find on our website. And they're all free, so that should be quite simple. Here let's just type in intro for this example and go back. You can see that it has updated really easily. So now we want to add a bit more animation. We maybe want to add some camera animation to sort of tie everything together. Now the way we can actually do this, I usually just use a null layer, not a real camera, because it makes it a bit more simple for sort of the process. So we want to actually take both of these compositions, right click and pre-compose. We just call this animation. And now we want to create a new null layer. Let's go to layer, new null object. We can just call this camera. And we want to make both of these 3D and parent the animation to the null layer. So let's see, we sort of want the camera animation to last the duration that the text takes to appear. So that's right around here. Let's go in, we press P as in position, and we press Shift and R to get our rotation. Now we can right click the position and we can separate the dimensions. We only want to work with the Z dimension and we want to work with the X rotation. So we want sort of a zoom effect throughout the entire animation. So we can actually go to the end and add another keyframe for our Z position. And when we go to the first keyframe here, we can actually, let's see, just zoom in a bit. So we have a zoom for the rest of the animation. Then we can go to the start and maybe go -2000 to really zoom in. And here we also want to apply some X rotation. So let's go in the negative direction. And you also have to make sure that you don't rotate it so much that you can actually see the black background. So sort of the end of the composition. But this is quite fine. And you can see just quickly that we zoom out here and it then keeps on zooming. Now we'll have to preview that in a bit, but let's first of all do some easing. So select the keyframes for the Z position Press F9 to ease it and go into the graph editor. Here you have to make sure that you have only selected the set position so it's easier to work with. And you have to make sure that you are inside the value graph. So we want it to be really fast at the start and then deaccelerate into this sort of linear zoom. So we can just drag this handle up, which means that it changes the value very quickly at the start and then it deaccelerates. Then we want to make this last portion linear. So just drag the handles like so. And we want this first motion to go smoothly into the next one. So we have to match the handle's rotation like this. Now we can also do something similar with the X rotation. And we will have to ease these two keyframes. So just select them and press F9. Then we can drag this up at the start and maybe drag this in a bit. And let's try and preview and see what we have got so far. So as you can see, it already adds a lot more life to the animation just by doing that quick zoom instead of just having it still. And now we maybe want it all to disappear at the end. You can see that the text is actually disappearing here, and we also want the background to disappear, so you can maybe use it with a transparent background so it sort of transitions into your video. So the way we go about doing this is actually that we can use some of the X assets. So these are just some extra assets, and if we go down, we have some elements here. As you can see, these are sort of transition elements. You can use them for transitions, that is. And perhaps we actually just want this one that is still. So double click, and we want to use this as a luma matte. And what that means is that whenever there's something white, then it will make the background disappear. So let's just close down these layers and sort of time this displacement map. So we will have to go to the point where the text starts to disappear. So right around here, and then drag it all the way over here. Now you can't see anything right now, but that's because we haven't used a luma matte yet. So drag it down above the animation, go into toggle switches / modes, and let's select the luma inverted matte. So as you can see, when we scrub through, the background sort of starts to disappear, and we can try and play that back. So you can see that it disappears with the text, and maybe we want it to happen a bit quicker just to time it right. And you can see that it goes into the black background. And actually, if you disable that, that could just be transparent. So it could be a transparent transition. Now we also want this composition to stop when sort of the background of the text is gone. So let's move ahead until it's completely black. We can press N to trim the work area. So now we can start to add the music and sound effects. So let's start with the music. This is just the standard Cyberpunk music that's available on our website. And let's just drag this in and sort of try and time it with the animation. Now if you listen, there's not much action, you could say, in the music at the start. It's sort of slow and not that loud. Then you can see we come to this portion where it sort of winds up, and then we have the drop, you could say, or really the start of the music here. So we want this part to happen when our text appears. So we can maybe have a bit of this wind up and then the drop. So we can drag it to the start. Maybe around here, try and play it back. So this works quite well because the wind up sort of matches with the text animation, and then we have the drop when the text is really appeared on the screen. And we maybe want it to fade out when the actual background text disappears. So press L, animate the audio levels, and we can just animate it to maybe -30 decibels. Let's see. Maybe drag this out a bit. Now to add some sound effects, we can go to the text sound effects, and we can just try and add one in. Just drag it beneath so it's easier to see. So this could work quite nice, but it's actually a bit too loud. So press L again, maybe go -8 decibels. And we just have to time it. So maybe a bit before, but it's actually quite well timed. Now let's add some more. We can maybe, let's see, add number 3. And we sort of want to layer some of these sound effects to make it sound more interesting. So let's listen to what this sounds like. So this isn't as loud. We don't really have to adjust it. We can just drag it to the start and sort of see if that works out. So we have this nice glitch sound at the end when it's completed. I really like that. And maybe let's add one sound for the end of the animation. Just drag it into the composition. And let's press double L to really time this, so we can see that the background starts disappearing at this point. So this is also where we want the sound effect, and play it back. So this all matches really well, and we can try and actually put it into the full quality and maybe get a bit more space so we can preview the entire animation. So as you can see, we have very quickly created a really nice introduction using the Cyberpunk pack. And I hope that you find this helpful and you consider trying out the pack yourself. That's all for now, till next time.